This week, we're talking about getting known and capturing the attention of your ideal clients by infusing your passion, what you love to do, or the change that you want to see in the world, infusing that into your marketing messaging, up and above and beyond your portfolio and, and your credentials and all that other about me page stuff that we love to have on our websites and pepper throughout our social media posts. Passion over process. Stay tuned. Giving architects and landscape architects the tools and strategies to be seen, heard, and valued in the marketplace, and telling the stories of leaders building thriving design firms and attracting their ideal clients. This is From Architecture to Profitecture. I'm your host, Jay Krakowski. Let's get started. Future and fellow Profitex, how are you? Welcome to this week's show, where again, we're talking about infusing your marketing message with passion, with your passion, with what you love to do and the change that you want to see in the world. And what that means above and beyond just outlining and documenting and putting a brand name to your design process or to whatever other services you might provide. The big notion here that I want to touch on is whether you're creating an Instagram caption or you're setting up your About Me page on your website, is to think about the eventual outcome or the transformation that you want to make in your clients' lives, not necessarily on the ground with brick and mortar and dirt and plants, not just the results of your design work that comes up out of the ground as we are trained to do and as we love to do, but rather the transformation and kind of the why you do it. Infusing the why into your marketing message. That's what's going to capture your client's attention in a sea of Google listings when someone's looking for a design professional, or they're taking recommendations, say, of 3 design firms, and you're on the list there. What's going to set you apart? Is it that you have a branded design process? I don't think so. Anyone else can brand their design process. Is it your offices? Is it your portfolio? And that's a big one, because most people might think, most design firms might think that it is. I'm known for ABC XYZ. Look at the pictures of the work that I've done, and it has nothing to do. There's none of your personality in there. There's none of your vision for the future of the profession or your community, if you do a lot of local work, or a certain building type, if you work, say, strictly in healthcare. How do you see architecture affecting healthcare and the well-being of people? How are you telling that story rather than just showing pictures of your latest hospital expansion? That's what's going to set you apart as a design firm. That's what's going to really start the conversation. It's going to pique their interest for them to pick up the phone or to shoot you an email or what have you. So as we're looking to create this marketing content and get that message out in the world, while delivering free content is great, and yes, that's as simple as Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn posts, but also these lead magnets, these freebies, these downloadable PDFs. They're great to have, but it can't be the end all be all. These a checklist of things to go through in your home before you engage with an architect. It's valuable in terms of email list building and becoming a touch point and having them recognize your logo or recognize you, but it's not the end all be all if there's no story behind it. If it's just content for content's sake, then that connection, it's going to be hard. It's going to be harder and harder to generate a connection with potential clients. They're going to go to the number of 5-star ratings you have on Google or Houzz, or they're going to go strictly to price at the end of the day, if there's no story behind that, why you're doing what you're doing. So I want to talk through a few points here on how we can bring this passion that we have. And in my case, it's designing homes for families. I talk about it all the time. I have my kids in my office here. I'm recording here from my office. And yes, there's trace all over the desk, but I'm talking about the families that I'm helping, and I'm talking about different things I'm doing and why they're making the decisions, say, to renovate that they're making, and then the choices that I'm making. I'm actually involving my my family in that. And not to say that you have to do that. You have to tell all your friends and family about what you do every day. But how are you telling that story to your clients? That's something important to think about. And kind of what generated this week's episode is, and I mentioned in my Instagram story, my 4-year-old. I was drawing downstairs with my 4-year-old yesterday, and he asked me to draw pictures of houses for him, which is great. It's usually trucks, so a house was a welcome change. But he decided to take one and make a card out of it, and he delivered it to me later that morning and said, "Daddy, I made you a picture of a card because you love to draw houses, and I made a card for my brother because he loves." I can't even remember what he drew. So in that moment, anything bad he had done that morning, he was getting into his brother a little bit, was kind of erased because it made a big impression on me. But two, it had me stop and think, well, if we're delivering services, if we're delivering marketing content with the why behind it, it's so much more powerful. Even it's something as simple as a 4-year-old coloring and handing you a drawing, but it was the reason behind why he did it, and he made that connection because I speak so passionately about what I do for a living. You probably feel the same way, especially if you've made the jump to start your own design firm. You've got this drive behind you, and whether it's for ecological sustainability, or it's to see a change in healthcare and the well-being of others, or it's to help families, whatever it is, tell that story at the front of your marketing. That should be your above the fold, as they say, the top of your webpage. That story should start from the very first touch point, whether they find you on the web or your banner on YouTube or the description in your Instagram profile, or just starting most of your marketing content to really take front and center stage. So how can we do this? How can we tell these stories? Well, the first is to be unique. We have to find ways to set ourselves apart from our competitors in the Google listing or in your ASLA find a firm or AI firm listing. How do you set yourself apart when someone clicks on that link or someone starts a conversation with you? What's your one-liner for saying what you do? And it shouldn't just be I design commercial buildings. It has to be more than that. If you want to make not just a great first impression, but one that lasts, one that they remember you for. That's one that helps you be known for ABC, XYZ. And it can be strong or a little quirky or shocking. It doesn't just have to be the notions of sustainability, which has been run around. The term's been run around so many times it almost loses its meaning sometimes. So how can you be unique? And the second point on how we can tell this story is to start showing your face. And that's why I'm so passionate about online video. Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you're not as comfortable jumping on a camera, even on a webcam, but you'll certainly pick up your phone and FaceTime or Skype with your friends and family. So how is that any different? Start practicing, even if it's telling Instagram stories. They go away in 24 hours, and you can delete them. It's not a big investment in putting something out there. We're not talking about a multi-day, multi-dollar film shoot here. And then use your voice. Why do I emphasize the word "your" here? It's not enough just to echo the news from AIA or ASLA or governing bodies or legislative bodies. It's not enough just to kind of regurgitate that content or say, yes, I agree with this, but there's got to be a personal story behind why. How is that affecting you personally? And why do you see it as important in the work that you do to bring about change in the world? So use your voice, not just echo sentiments of others. I know that the term echo chamber is out there, and you'll see that from a lot of marketing content creators, just online marketers, where you'll see one post about a certain topic, and then immediately you'll have 4 other podcasts or 6 other YouTube videos, all kind of saying the same thing, sort of, but there's no personal story behind it. So it loses its power then. Take a stand. take a stand for something that you believe in, that you want, the change that you want to see in the world. And you're going to be polarizing. The best marketing content should be polarizing. You should be telling people that they're not the right fit for you. You should practice and get more and more comfortable with telling people that you're not the right fit for them. And I don't mean in a harsh way. I don't mean in your face way, in an egotistical way. But I had a meeting with a developer just yesterday, and getting to know him and the different projects he was doing. And there was no discussion of, hey, are you looking for projects? Or I wasn't asking, are you looking for a design firm? But he was very clear in the different products that he wanted to bring to my local market here in Greenville. And I was very clear on that I design homes for families, and that's my jam. And I was very comfortable with that. And, it was clear that our paths may not necessarily cross immediately, but in making yourself known for something, even if it's polarizing, even if it's turning away half the marketplace, you've still got the other half of the market. And it's my belief that there's so much abundance on the planet that there are projects out there, even if some months it may feel like a struggle for you to bring the right clients in the door, that they are out there. And then the last point, and I've said it on previous podcasts, in creating this content, even if video or audio is not something you're comfortable with, even if the notions of Instagram hashtags and how to write captions, even if it's a head scratcher, the notion of progress over perfectionism. Telling your story and relaying the passion that you have and the change that you want to see in the world, it's incremental. That's the story of being a human being. Everything is incremental. We're always changing. The whole point of being a human being is to grow and change. And it's day by day in our lives, and your marketing material can be the same. You can change your website. You can tweak the copy, every quarter. It's okay. Putting together an Instagram grid or an Instagram story feed or carousel or what have you, it's all kind of process based, a lot, just like the way that we work with layers and layers of trace, or layers in your Photoshop documents. You're testing, you're turning things on and off, you're seeing what clicks, you're seeing what works, and getting your message right that's a notion that you can't hold firm to. It's always going to change. Even the mission of your design firm may change year to year, decade to decade. Hopefully it's you're thinking in terms of decades and creating a practice. But the notion of progress over perfectionism is something to really grab onto as you're working to tell your story here. And a fifth point would be simplicity, kind of boiling it down to the essence of why you started a design firm in the first place and why you do the work that you do. Somewhat along the lines of my 4-year-old giving me a drawing. I know there's a quote from Albert Einstein: if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you probably don't understand it yourself. That's such a pervasive problem that I hear about, that clients don't understand what I do, or they don't understand the value. Well, you're not explaining it simply enough. And a very powerful way to say what you do and why you do is through story, is through relaying the bigger passion that's underneath that, even if it's not related to architecture or design. But there's a way that they can be interwoven, and storytelling in a simplified way is so powerful. So I want to help you start to practice this and start to put together a content plan that you can begin to implement in your firm, whether that's here in online video, or whether that's in your Instagram feed, but rather dialing your message and your story in. So I want to invite you to a workshop that I'm hosting towards the end of next month, Invisible to Invaluable. It'll be August 26th to 28th. They will be live sessions, all in a private Facebook group. Shoot me a direct message either on Facebook or LinkedIn, or if you're over on Instagram at any time, shoot me a direct message at Jake Krakowski to get on that wait list. I'll be sending more information in the next week or so. But I invite you to join that workshop with me. And until next week, make it a great week, because our success is inevitable. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you stay up to date with future episodes. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Jake Krakowski. And for show notes and much more, visit profitecturebydesign.com/podcast.